The world would have you believe that transformation requires fanfare, that success demands announcement, that change must be visible to be real. How wrong they are. The mightiest oak grows in silence, its roots deepening without applause, its branches reaching toward heaven without ceremony. The same principle governs your own becoming. You must learn to build yourself quietly, deliberately, with the same unwavering faith that governs the cycles of nature itself. Tonight I share with you 5 ways, not suggestions, not possibilities, but absolute methods by which you can construct the life you desire without seeking permission from the world, without requiring validation from others, without waiting for circumstances to align with your wishes. These are not mere techniques, they are fundamental laws of consciousness that properly applied will transform your entire existence from within. The first way you must master is the art of assumption without announcement. You see, most people make the grave error of announcing their intentions before they have established them in consciousness. They declare to the world what they plan to become, what they intend to achieve, what they hope to manifest. But I tell you, the moment you announce your desire to others, you have weakened its power. You have invited doubt, criticism, and the limited beliefs of others to contaminate the pure seed of your intention. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and this is the cornerstone of all manifestation, you must do so in the sacred privacy of your own mind. You must feel yourself to be what you desire to be, not what you hope to become, not what you are working toward, but what you already are in the realm of imagination. This assumption must be worn like an invisible garment, known only to you and the creative principle that responds to your every mental state. I have watched countless individuals destroy their own manifestations by sharing their inner work with others before it had time to take root in their subconscious mind. They would assume the state of their fulfilled desire, feel the reality of it, live in its truth. And then in a moment of excitement or need for validation, they would share their inner experience with someone who could not possibly understand. The doubt of others, the skepticism of the unawakened, would then enter their consciousness like a virus, undermining the very foundation they had been building. Your assumptions about yourself and your life must be protected like precious seeds in fertile soil. They must be nurtured in darkness before they can emerge into the light. When you assume that you are already the person you desire to be, whether that is wealthy, successful, loved, healthy, or free, this assumption must be your secret. It must be lived inwardly with such conviction that it begins to reshape your entire sense of self. The power of assumption lies not in hoping or wishing, but in feeling. You must feel yourself to be what you desire to be with the same naturalness that you feel yourself to be who you are right now. If you desire wealth, you must feel wealthy. Not hopeful about wealth, not working toward wealth, but actually wealthy in your consciousness. This feeling, when sustained and protected from the contradictory evidence of the senses and the opinions of others, will inevitably externalize itself in your experience. But remember, the moment you announce this inner assumption to others before it has manifested, you open it to their limited beliefs about what is possible for you. They will judge your assumption based on your current circumstances, your past history, your apparent limitations. Their doubt becomes a force that works against your inner certainty. And unless your faith is absolutely unshakable, their disbelief will contaminate your assumption. This is why the wise build in silence. They know that the creative power responds to feeling, not to explanation. They understand that consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is simply a reflection of consciousness. When you change your consciousness about yourself quietly, without fanfare, without announcement, you give your new assumption time to take root and grow strong before it encounters the resistance of the outer world. The second way you must embrace is the practice of mental rehearsal in solitude. Your imagination is not a luxury. It is the very workshop of creation. Every day you must set aside time to retreat into the sanctuary of your mind and live from the end of your desire. This is not daydreaming. This is conscious creation. This is the deliberate use of your imagination to impress upon your subconscious mind the reality of your fulfilled wish. In the quietness of your private moments, you must construct scenes that imply the fulfillment of your desire. If you desire success in your career, you must imagine scenes that would naturally occur if that success were already yours. Feel the congratulations of colleagues. Experience yourself in the position you desire. Handle the responsibilities that come with your achieved goal. Make these imaginal acts so vivid, so real, so natural that they feel more real than your current circumstances. The key to effective mental rehearsal is not to imagine yourself getting what you want, but to imagine yourself having what you want. There is a crucial difference. When you imagine yourself getting something, you are affirming that you do not yet have it. You are living in the consciousness of lack, of wanting, of striving. But when you imagine yourself having what you desire, when you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the reality of possession, not the experience of acquisition. This mental rehearsal must be done in solitude because it requires complete focus and uninterrupted feeling. In the presence of others, your attention is divided. You cannot fully immerse yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled when part of your consciousness is concerned with how you appear to others. Solitude gives you the freedom to experience your imaginal acts with the intensity and reality necessary to impress them upon your subconscious mind. During these periods of mental rehearsal, you must engage all of your senses. You must see the scenes of your fulfilled desire, hear the sounds that would accompany your success, feel the textures and temperatures of your new reality, even smell and taste the environment of your achieved goal. The more sensory detail you can include in your imaginal acts, the more real they become to your subconscious mind, which cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual physical experience. But beyond the sensory details, you must cultivate the emotional reality of your fulfilled desire. You must feel the satisfaction, the joy, the peace, the confidence that would naturally accompany the realization of your goal. This emotional component is absolutely crucial because emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious responds not to your thoughts, but to your feelings. When you can generate the authentic feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have communicated your desire to the creative principle in the only language it understands. The beauty of mental rehearsal in solitude is that it allows you to perfect your desired state before it manifests externally. You can practice being the person you want to become until that state of being becomes natural to you. You can rehearse your success until confidence becomes your default setting. You can experience your desired relationships until love becomes your predominant feeling. In the privacy of your imagination, you can become accustomed to living from the end, so that when your desire manifests in the physical world, you are ready to receive it naturally. This brings us to the third way, the cultivation of inner dialogue transformation. Most people are completely unconscious of the conversation that runs constantly through their minds. They allow their inner dialogue to be random, reactive, and often destructive. But I tell you, your inner conversation is the most powerful creative force in your life. Every word you speak to yourself, every statement you make about yourself in the privacy of your mind is an instruction to your subconscious mind. Your inner dialogue is literally creating your experience, moment by moment, day by day. If you desire to build yourself quietly, you must take complete control of your inner conversation. You must become the conscious director of your mental chatter. Instead of allowing your mind to repeat the same old stories about your limitations, your problems, your fears, you must deliberately choose thoughts that align with your desired reality. Your inner dialogue must reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you have been. This transformation of inner dialogue must happen in the quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts, when you are driving, when you are falling asleep, when you are performing routine tasks that do not require your full attention. Your mind naturally turns inward. These are the precious moments when you can practice new patterns of thinking, when you can rehearse the inner conversation of your ideal self. Instead of thinking thoughts like, I can't afford this, or this never works for me, or I'm not good enough, you must consciously choose thoughts that assume your desired reality is already true. You must think from the end, not toward the end. Your inner dialogue must reflect the consciousness of someone who already has what you desire, who already is what you want to become. If you desire financial abundance, your inner dialogue must be that of a financially abundant person. Instead of worrying about money, you must think thoughts of gratitude for your financial security. Instead of fear about the future, you must maintain inner conversations about your wise investments and multiple income streams. This is not pretending or lying to yourself. This is choosing to live from the consciousness of your fulfilled desire, rather than from the consciousness of your current limitations. The power of inner dialogue transformation lies in its cumulative effect. Every thought you think, every to make a statement you make, is adding to the overall impression you are making upon your subconscious mind. When you consistently maintain inner conversations that align with your desired reality, you are literally programming your subconscious to accept that reality as true. Your subconscious mind, being completely impersonal and utterly faithful, will then work to make your outer experience conform to your inner convictions. But this inner work must be done quietly, privately, consistently. It cannot be a part-time effort or a casual experiment. Your inner dialogue is operating 24 hours a day, whether you are conscious of it or not. If you want to transform your life, you must take conscious control of this inner conversation and maintain that control consistently over time. The fourth way is perhaps the most challenging for most people, the mastery of emotional independence. You see, most individuals are emotional slaves to their circumstances. They feel good when things go well and feel bad when things go poorly. Their emotional state is entirely dependent upon external conditions, other people's behavior, and the random events of daily life. But this emotional dependency is the greatest obstacle to conscious creation. To build yourself quietly, you must develop the ability to maintain your desired emotional state regardless of external circumstances. You must become emotionally independent of the world around you. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means choosing your emotional state based on your inner vision rather than your outer conditions. When you are living from the end, when you are assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, your emotional state must reflect that assumption consistently. If you have assumed that you are successful, you must feel successful, even when your bank account says otherwise. If you have assumed that you are loved, you must feel lovable even when others seem to reject you. If you have assumed that you are healthy, you must feel vital and well even when your body presents symptoms of illness. This emotional independence is developed through daily practice in the privacy of your own consciousness. When you notice yourself reacting emotionally to external circumstances in a way that contradicts your assumed state, you must immediately return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You must refuse to let temporary conditions determine your permanent emotional stance. The key to mastering emotional independence is understanding that your feelings create your experience, not the other way around. Most people have this backwards. They believe that circumstances create their feelings, but the truth is that their feelings create their circumstances. When you maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled regardless of current conditions, you are impressing upon the creative principle, the very feeling that will externalize as your new reality. This emotional mastery cannot be achieved through willpower or positive thinking alone. It requires a fundamental shift in your understanding of causation. You must recognize that consciousness is the only reality and that everything else is simply a reflection of consciousness. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that changing your external world is simply a matter of changing your internal world. You begin to see circumstances not as causes but as effects, not as realities but as reflections. In the quietness of your daily life, you must practice holding your desired emotional state especially when your senses contradict it. This is the true test of faith. Anyone can feel successful when success is evident. Anyone can feel love when love is apparent. Anyone can feel healthy when health is obvious. But the conscious creator maintains these feelings even when the opposite appears to be true. This emotional independence gradually builds a kind of inner strength that is unshakable. You begin to realize that your happiness, your peace, your confidence, your joy are not dependent upon anyone or anything outside of yourself. You discover that you can generate any feeling you choose simply by assuming the state that naturally produces that feeling. This realization is incredibly liberating and incredibly empowering. The fifth and final way is the development of what I call selective attention through conscious ignorance. This may sound paradoxical, but it is absolutely essential for building yourself quietly. You must develop the ability to ignore what contradicts your assumption and to notice only what confirms it. This is not self-deception. This is the conscious direction of attention toward the reality you are creating. Your attention is your most precious resource. Whatever you consistently pay attention to grows in your experience. If you pay attention to lack, lack grows. If you pay attention to problems, problems multiply. If you pay attention to what is wrong in your life, more wrongness appears. But if you pay attention to abundance, abundance increases. If you pay attention to solutions, solutions manifest. If you pay attention to what is right in your life, more rightness emerges. The practice of selective attention requires you to become consciously ignorant of anything that contradicts your desired reality. When you see evidence that seems to oppose your assumption, you must look away. When people speak words that contradict your inner conviction, you must not let those words enter your consciousness. When circumstances appear to deny your wish fulfilled, you must refuse to acknowledge their reality. This is not about being naive or refusing to deal with practical matters. This is about recognizing that your attention is creative and choosing to focus it only on what you want to create. In the quietness of your daily life, you must train yourself to notice only what supports your assumption and to ignore what opposes it. For example, if you have assumed that you are financially prosperous, you must notice every sign of prosperity in your life, no matter how small. You must pay attention to the money you do have, not the money you lack. You must focus on opportunities for income, not obstacles to wealth. You must observe examples of prosperity in front of you, not exam poverty. This selective attention gradually shifts your entire perception of reality. At the same time, you must develop conscious ignorance of anything that contradicts your assumption of prosperity. When bills arrive, you do not deny their existence, but you do not dwell on them or allow them to generate feelings of lack. When others complain about financial difficulties, you do not join in their conversation. When the news reports economic problems, you turn your attention elsewhere. You become consciously ignorant of lack because you understand that whatever you focus on expands in your experience. This practice of selective attention must be maintained consistently and quietly. You cannot announce to others that you are ignoring certain aspects of reality because they will think you are being unrealistic or irresponsible. But in the privacy of your consciousness, you must be absolutely ruthless about protecting your attention from anything that contradicts your desired reality. The development of selective attention through conscious ignorance requires great discipline at first, but it becomes natural with practice. You begin to automatically filter out contradictory evidence and automatically notice supporting evidence. Your perception begins to align with your assumption, and as your perception changes, your experience follows. This selective attention also applies to your memory. You must learn to remember only those experiences that support your current assumption and to forget those that contradict it. This is not about lying to yourself about the past. This is about choosing which aspects of your past to keep alive in your consciousness. You must remember your successes and forget your failures. You must remember when you felt loved and forget when you felt rejected. You must remember when you felt confident and forget when you felt insecure. Your memory is not a factual record of events. It is a selective interpretation of experiences. By consciously choosing what to remember and what to forget, you are literally reshaping your identity. You are building a new sense of self based on the experiences that support who you are becoming rather than who you have been. These 5 ways: assumption without announcement, mental rehearsal in solitude, inner dialogue transformation, emotional independence, and selective attention through conscious ignorance, are not separate techniques, but interconnected aspects of a single practice. The conscious creation of reality through the disciplined use of imagination and feeling. When you assume without announcement, you protect your desired reality from the contradictory beliefs of others. When you rehearse mentally in solitude, you make your desired reality familiar and natural to your consciousness. When you transform your inner dialogue, you continuously reinforce your new assumptions. When you develop emotional independence, you maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled regardless of circumstances. When you practice selective attention through conscious ignorance, You gradually shift your entire perception to align with your desired reality. These practices must be maintained quietly, consistently, persistently. They cannot be intermittent efforts or casual experiments. They must become your way of life, your natural approach to consciousness, your automatic response to every situation. In the silence of your daily existence, away from the noise and distraction of the world, you must work on yourself with the same dedication that a craftsman works on his masterpiece. The beauty of building yourself quietly is that it allows your transformation to happen naturally, without resistance, without opposition. When you announce your intentions to the world, you invite argument. When you try to change your external circumstances directly, you encounter resistance. But when you work on yourself internally, quietly, consistently, your external world has no choice but to conform to your inner transformation. Most people approach life backwards. They try to change their circumstances in order to change how they feel. They try to get love in order to feel lovable. They try to get money in order to feel secure. They try to get recognition in order to feel worthy. But this approach puts them at the mercy of external conditions over which they have no direct control. The conscious creator reverses this process. Instead of trying to get in order to feel, you feel in order to get. Instead of trying to become in order to be, you be in order to become. You start with consciousness, with imagination, with feeling, and you let the external world rearrange itself to match your inner state. This is why building yourself quietly is so powerful. It allows you to work directly with the creative principle, without interference from the limiting beliefs of others or the contradictory evidence of your senses. In the sanctuary of your own consciousness, you can assume any identity, experience any reality, feel any emotion. You can literally be anyone you choose to be and experience anything you choose to experience. But this inner work must be balanced with outer action when such action is inspired. Building yourself quietly does not mean becoming passive or inactive. It means that your actions flow from your assumptions rather than from your circumstances. When you have assumed the consciousness of your desired reality, you will be naturally inspired to take actions that align with that consciousness. But these actions will feel effortless and natural because they will be expressions of who you have become in consciousness rather than desperate attempts to become who you want to be. The person who builds themselves quietly becomes a mystery to the world. Others cannot understand how they remain so calm in the midst of chaos, so confident in the face of apparent obstacles, so joyful despite difficult circumstances. They cannot see the inner work that is being done, the assumptions that are being maintained, the reality that is being created in consciousness. This mystery is part of the power. When people cannot understand the source of your transformation, they cannot interfere with it. When they cannot see the work you are doing, they cannot judge it or contradict it. When they cannot comprehend your inner certainty, they cannot shake it with their doubt. The 5 ways I have shared with you tonight are not theoretical concepts to be intellectually understood. They are practical methods to be daily applied. They are not suggestions for your consideration, but imperatives for your transformation. If you truly desire to change your life, if you genuinely want to become the person you were meant to be, if you sincerely seek to manifest your deepest desires, then you must commit yourself to these practices with unwavering dedication. Start tonight. Begin immediately. In the privacy of your own room, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel yourself to be what you desire to be. Do not announce this assumption to anyone. Guard it like a precious secret. Rehearse it in your imagination until it feels completely natural. Transform your inner dialogue to reflect this new reality. Maintain the emotional state of your assumed identity regardless of external circumstances. Direct your attention only toward evidence that supports your assumption and ignore everything that contradicts it. Do this quietly, consistently, persistently. Do it when others are sleeping, when the world is distracted, when you are alone with your thoughts. Make these practices your secret discipline, your hidden strength, your private power. Build yourself in the silence and let the world discover your transformation when it manifests in undeniable reality. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is simply consciousness externalized consciousness made visible, consciousness expressed in form. When you change your consciousness, you change your world. When you assume a new identity in consciousness, you will express that identity in experience. When you feel yourself to be what you desire to be, you will find yourself living as what you desire to be. This is not a matter of belief or faith in the conventional sense. This is a matter of understanding and application. Just as you do not need to believe in the law of gravity to experience its effects, you do not need to believe in these principles to benefit from their application. They work whether you believe in them or not, because they are fundamental laws of consciousness, not religious doctrines or philosophical theories. The only requirement is that you apply them consistently and with understanding. You must understand that imagination is reality, that feeling is the secret, that consciousness is the only cause. You must understand that your external world is always a perfect reflection of your internal world, that your experiences are always consistent with your assumptions, that your life is always expressing your consciousness. With this understanding, you have no choice but to take complete responsibility for your life. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or external conditions for your experiences. You must recognize that you are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality, the architect of your own destiny. This recognition is simultaneously humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it means you cannot blame anyone else for what you do not like in your life. It is empowering because it means you have the power to change anything you do not like in your life. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances. Tonight, as you leave this place and return to your daily life, carry with you the knowledge that you have within you right now. Everything you need to transform your existence completely. You do not need anyone's permission, anyone's approval, anyone's assistance. You need only the willingness to assume the consciousness of your reality and to maintain that assumption until it hardens into fact. Build yourself quietly. Work on yourself in secret. Transform yourself in silence. Let the world discover your new reality when it manifests, but do not seek their approval for your inner work. Do not require their understanding of your methods. Do not need their validation of your assumptions. You are consciousness expressing itself in human form. You have within you the same creative power that brought the universe into existence. You can speak worlds into being with your imagination. You can feel realities into manifestation with your emotions. You can assume identities that will inevitably express themselves in your experience. The 5 ways I have shared with you are your tools, your methods, your daily practices. Use them faithfully, apply them consistently, trust them completely. In the quietness of your disciplined consciousness, build the life you desire, become the person you were meant to be, and manifest the reality that matches your highest vision of yourself. Your transformation begins now, in this moment, with your next assumption about yourself. Make it a magnificent assumption. Make it worthy of who you truly are. Make it consistent with your deepest desires and your highest potential. Then guard it, nurture it, maintain it, and live from it until it becomes your undeniable reality. This is your power. This is your responsibility. This is your opportunity. Build yourself quietly and let your light speak louder than your words ever could. The universe guides you toward greatness through one fundamental principle. Imagination creates reality. This is not poetry or metaphor, but the most practical of all practical facts. The world you perceive externally is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out. Every circumstance, every person, every detail of your life exists first within you before it manifests without. Tonight, I wish to impress upon you that the universe, that infinite intelligence some call God, is not separate from you, directing your path from afar. Rather, it is your own wonderful human imagination, that divine faculty within you that creates and sustains all that you experience. Your imagination is God in action, and through its proper use, you manifest greatness beyond measure. Consider for a moment what imagination truly is. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the very substance of reality, the creative power through which all things are made. When you imagine, you are literally tuning into the frequency of creation itself. You are participating in the divine act of bringing forth worlds. Now, listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you contradicts everything you have been taught about causation. You have been told that what you observe in the outer world is the cause of your inner states. That poverty causes you to feel poor. That illness causes you to feel unwell. That loneliness causes you to feel unloved. This is entirely backward. Your inner states, your assumptions, your dominant feelings, these are the causes of all outer conditions. The universe guides you by responding unerringly to your state of consciousness. If you persist in the feeling of being wealthy, the outer world must reshape itself to match that inner conviction. If you dwell in the assumption of perfect health, your body will conform. If you live from the state of being deeply loved, relationships will transform, or new ones will appear to reflect that state. This is law, as certain as gravity. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. The outer world has no choice but to mirror faithfully what you hold to be true in consciousness. This is how the universe guides you, not by external signs or omens, but by the perfect correlation between your inner and outer worlds. Now, many of you sit here tonight wondering, if this is true, why have my dreams not manifested? Why does greatness elude me? The answer is both simple and profound. You have not yet fully occupied the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You visit it occasionally in imagination, but you do not live there. You do not sleep in that state night after night, feeling its reality so intensely that experience anything else would seem impossible. Let me share with you the perfect technique for manifesting greatness. Before you sleep each night, bring your attention completely to the end, the fulfillment of your desire. See it not as something that will happen in some vague future, but as something that has already happened. Feel the satisfaction, the relief, the joy of attainment. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already a fact? Then capture that feeling and fall asleep in it. In that drowsy state between waking and sleeping, your conscious mind relaxes its guard, and your subconscious becomes impressionable. What you impress upon it then must objectify in your world. This is not suggestion or self-hypnosis in the ordinary sense. This is entering the state of the wish fulfilled, and your subconscious mind, which is God in you, will move heaven and earth to externalize that state. Remember always that creation is finished. All possible states exist now. You do not create your desired state. You simply select it by occupying it in imagination. When you enter a state in consciousness, you automatically create a bridge of incidents that will lead to its physical expression. The universe guides you unfailingly along this bridge. I recall a young woman who attended my lectures years ago. She desired to be married to a specific man, but he showed no interest in her. Night after night, she fell asleep feeling the wedding ring on her finger, hearing friends congratulate her, feeling the presence of her husband beside her in bed. Within 3 months, against all outer evidence, that very man proposed to her. The universe guided her by responding to her dominant state of consciousness. Now, some will say this is mere coincidence. Others will claim she somehow influenced the man psychologically. Both miss the point entirely. She did not change the man, she changed herself. In changing her concept of self, seeing herself as the beloved wife rather than the ignored admirer, she entered a new relationship with the entire universe, including that man. He had no choice but to play the part assigned to him in her revision of self. This brings us to another crucial aspect of how the universe guides you. It responds not to your desires, but to your concept of self. You may desire wealth fervently, but if you maintain a self-concept of one who struggles financially, your desire will be frustrated. The universe guides you according to who you believe yourself to be. Therefore, the greatest act of manifestation is the transformation of your self-concept. When you truly know yourself to be great, greatness must follow, as surely as night follows day. This is not egotism or delusion. It is aligning with your divine nature. For you are not merely a human being seeking spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Let us explore this further. The self-concept is formed of your habitual thoughts and feelings about yourself. These thoughts are often so deeply ingrained that you accept them without question. I am unlucky. I am not creative. Success is difficult for me. These are not facts, they are assumptions. And all assumptions can be changed through the conscious use of imagination. Revise your self-concept by mentally constructing scenes that imply you are who you wish to be. If you wish to be wealthy, create a scene where you are discussing your financial abundance with a friend. Make it brief, make it natural, but most importantly, make it imply the fulfillment of your desire. Repeat this scene until it feels more real than its absence. The universe guides you through the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, consciously or unconsciously, will harden into fact in your experience. This is why casual negative assumptions are so dangerous. When you say nothing ever works out for me, you are instructing the universe to ensure exactly that outcome. Your word, your assumption, is quite literally your wand of fulfillment. Now let me address something that troubles many seekers. The matter of effort. There is a prevailing belief that manifestation requires strain, visualization exercises or patience repeated thousands of times. I tell you, the universe guides you not through effort, but through the intensity of your conviction. One moment of complete acceptance is worth more than years of trying. The feeling is the secret. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in it, you have found the secret of manifestation. The feeling is both the means and the end. Feel wealth, and you will be wealthy. Feel health, and you will be healthy. Feel love, and you will be loved. The universe responds not to your words or actions, but to your dominant feeling tones. Consider a man who desires promotion at work. He may affirm daily that he deserves advancement. He may visualize sitting in the executive office. But if his feeling tone is one of unworthiness or anxiety, these will be the seeds that bear fruit. Instead, let him capture the feeling of satisfaction that would be his upon achieving the promotion. Let him feel the handshakes of congratulation, the pride in telling his family, the confidence as he occupies his new position. This feeling, persisted in, will draw to him the circumstances necessary for its fulfillment. The universe guides you by responding to your emotional states. Emotion is energy in motion, the propelling force behind manifestation. Your desires will manifest not when you want them most desperately, but when you feel most naturally that they are already yours. This brings us to another critical point. Manifestation occurs most readily in the absence of desperation. When you need something so badly that you are consumed by the need, you are actually affirming its absence. You are declaring to the universe, I do not have this, and my happiness depends upon getting it. This state of consciousness can only produce more of its own lack. Instead, cultivate a state of grateful acceptance. Even before your desire appears physically, thank the universe for its fulfillment. Live in the calm certainty that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify. This attitude of relaxed confidence is magnetic to your good. I once knew a man who had been unemployed for months. He came to me in desperation, having tried everything to secure work. I instructed him to fall asleep each night, as though he were returning from a satisfying day at a wonderful job, not visualizing the specific employer, but feeling the satisfaction of meaningful work and financial security. Within 2 weeks, he received 3 job offers, one of which was far better than anything he had previously imagined possible. The universe guided him not through his frantic search, but through his assumption of employment as an already established fact. Now, there is another aspect of universal guidance that is often overlooked, the matter of timing. Many abandon their manifestation practices because their desires do not materialize on their preferred schedule. They fail to understand that the universe operates according to divine timing, not human impatience. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You water it, you provide the conditions for growth, and you trust in the natural process of germination. So it is with your desires. Plant them in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Then allow the universe to bring them to fruition in its perfect timing. This requires faith, not blind faith in an external power, but faith in the law of consciousness itself. It requires knowing that what is impressed in consciousness must express. There is no question of if, only when, and the when is determined not by calendars and clocks, but by the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Let me share with you now one of the most powerful manifestation techniques I have ever discovered: revision. The past exists only in memory, and memory can be altered through the conscious use of imagination. If today has brought disappointment or failure, revise it before you sleep. Replace the unwanted event with one that would have satisfied you. Feel the revised scene as vividly as you felt the original. This practice does something remarkable. It alters not just your memory, but the trajectory of your manifestation. For whatever you take with you into sleep impresses your subconscious mind, and your subconscious knows no difference between an actual event and one vividly imagined. By revising the day, you literally rewrite your past and consequently your future. I recall a businessman who had botched an important presentation, losing a significant contract. That night, instead of replaying the failure, he revised the scene. In imagination, he heard the client praising his presentation and eagerly signing the contract. He fell asleep in this assumption. 3 days later, the client called unexpectedly, saying he had reconsidered and wanted to move forward after all. This was not coincidence. This was the law of revision at work. The universe guides you to the principle of revision by allowing you to alter the past in consciousness, thereby changing the patterns that determine your future. Your past is simply your beliefs about what has occurred, and beliefs can be changed. Now, as we consider how the universe guides you to manifest greatness, we must address a fundamental truth. There is no one else. There is only consciousness expressing itself in myriad forms. What you see as separate individuals are really aspects of your own consciousness pushed out. This is not solipsism. It is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and your individual consciousness is one with the universal consciousness. This understanding transforms how you relate to others in your manifestation practice. You do not need to change others, you need only change your consciousness of them. As you revise your concept of another person, they must conform to your revised concept, not through manipulation, but through the law of consciousness. If there is someone in your life who seems hostile or uncooperative, do not try to change their behavior directly. Instead, create a scene in imagination where they are exactly as you would like them to be. Hear them saying the words you long to hear. Feel the satisfaction of harmonious interaction. Persist in this assumption, and they will change, not because you have controlled them, but because you have changed your consciousness of them. The universe guides you by reflecting back to you your consciousness of others. Everything and everyone in your world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself, your assumptions about your relationship with anything, and the thing itself must change. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of universal guidance, the recognition that you are not manifesting things or conditions at all. You are manifesting states of consciousness. The outer world is a shadow, a reflection of inner states. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes effortless. Instead of struggling to change conditions, simply enter the state of consciousness that would be yours if conditions were already changed. Live from that state. Make it your dwelling place. The conditions must then rearrange themselves to match your new state of consciousness. I know a woman who desired financial freedom. Rather than focusing on specific dollar amounts or investment strategies, she cultivated the state of consciousness of one who is financially free. She felt the relief, the security, the generosity that financial freedom would bring. Within 6 months, through a series of events that no one could have predicted, she received an inheritance, a promotion, and an investment opportunity that together created exactly the financial freedom she had assumed in consciousness. The universe guided her not to specific actions, but to the embodiment of a state from which the right actions naturally flowed. This is crucial to understand. Right action follows right consciousness. When you dwell in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will be guided unerringly to take the actions that lead to its manifestation. Now let us address an aspect of manifestation that troubles many. What of those desires that seem impossible? What of physical healing when doctors have pronounced a condition incurable? What of financial abundance when one is deeply in debt? What of love when one has experienced nothing but rejection? I tell you this, nothing is impossible to the one who understands the law of consciousness. The word impossible exists only in the dictionary of fools. In consciousness, all things are possible. The universe guides you beyond seeming impossibilities by urging you to revise your concept of what is possible. When something appears impossible, it is not the thing itself that blocks you. It is your belief in its impossibility. Change the belief, and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking. This is the recognition of the absolute malleability of reality in response to consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the centurion who came to Jesus seeking healing for his servant. Jesus offered to go to the servant, but the centurion replied, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. Just say the word and my servant will be healed." Jesus marveled at his faith, saying, "Go your way. As you have believed, so let it be done for you." And the servant was healed in that very hour. This story illustrates a profound truth. Healing, indeed, all manifestation, occurs not through external intervention, but through faith. And faith is nothing more than the unquestioning acceptance of a state as if it were already real. The centurion did not doubt. He knew that consciousness was the one and only reality. The universe guided him by responding to his conviction. So it is with you. Whatever you accept fully in consciousness must manifest in your experience. If it has not yet appeared, you have not yet fully accepted it. There remains some doubt, some contradiction in your consciousness that prevents its expression. The solution is not to try harder, but to achieve a deeper acceptance. Fall in love with the state of the wish fulfilled. Make it so natural, so much a part of you, that to experience anything else would seem strange. This complete naturalization of the state is the secret of effortless manifestation. Now, let me share with you what may be the most important insight of all. The universe guides you to greatness through self-love, not the narcissistic self-absorption that passes for self-love in popular discourse, but the profound recognition of your divine nature. When you truly love yourself, when you recognize yourself as the operant power, the God in action within your world, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. For self-love creates a consciousness of worthiness, and the universe can give you only what you believe yourself worthy of receiving. Many seekers struggle with manifestation because at deepest level they do not believe themselves deserving of their desires. They may affirm abundance while unconsciously feeling unworthy of it. They may visualize perfect health while secretly believing they deserve illness as punishment for some past misdeed. These contradictions in consciousness must be resolved before manifestation can occur. The universe guides you by reflecting your self-concept with perfect accuracy. As you cultivate genuine self-love, not as a technique, but as the recognition of your true identity, your outer world must reflect that love back to you in countless forms. Practice seeing yourself through the eyes of love. Speak to yourself as you would to someone precious beyond measure. Forgive yourself completely for all perceived failures and shortcomings. As you do this, you raise your consciousness to a level where manifestation becomes spontaneous and joyful. I once counseled a woman who had spent decades trying various manifestation techniques without success. When we explored her consciousness, we discovered a deep-seated belief that she was fundamentally flawed and undeserving of good. This belief, operating beneath her conscious awareness, negated all her affirmations and visualizations. I instructed her to spend 30 days practicing radical self-love. Each night before sleep, she was to mentally review her day, blessing every aspect of herself, her body, her mind, her emotions, even her perceived failures. Within 2 weeks, she reported feeling lighter, more peaceful. By the end of the 30 days, manifestations began appearing in her life. Opportunities, relationships, resources that had previously been blocked by her self-rejection. The universe had been guiding her all along, reflecting her consciousness with perfect fidelity. As she changed her consciousness of self, the universe could at last deliver the greatness that had always been her birthright. Now, as we draw toward the conclusion of our discussion, let me emphasize a truth that many teachers of manifestation overlook. The purpose of manifestation is not merely the acquisition of things or experiences, but the expansion of consciousness. The universe guides you to greatness not so that you may accumulate possessions, but so that you may know yourself as the creator of your reality. Each desire fulfilled reveals more of your divine nature to you. Each manifestation confirms the law of consciousness and deepens your understanding of your true identity. This is the ultimate purpose of the manifestation process, self-realization. When you manifest from this understanding, your desires themselves transform. No longer do you seek things to fill a sense of lack. You manifest as a joyful expression of your abundance. No longer do you chase experiences to escape your present. You create as an extension of your fullness. This shift in consciousness, from manifesting to have, to manifesting to express, is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. The universe guides you to this maturity through the very process of fulfilling your desires. As you succeed in manifesting your wishes, you come to recognize the creative power that is your true essence. This recognition is the greatest manifestation of all. Let me leave you with this final thought. The universe, that infinite intelligence that pervades all things, guides you to greatness not through external signs or complicated rituals, but through the simple yet profound law of consciousness. What you are conscious of being, you must manifest. There is no exception to this law. Therefore, be conscious of greatness. Assume it, feel it, live from it now. Not as something to be achieved, but as the truth of who you already are. Fall asleep each night in the assumption of greatness fulfilled, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to express that greatness in your outer world. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to test this law for yourself. For truth is never truly known until it is experienced. Take your most heartfelt desire, apply these principles faithfully for 30 days, and observe the results. The universe will guide you to the manifestation of that desire as surely as tomorrow's sun will rise. Remember always, imagination creates reality. Your consciousness is the one and only creative power. The universe guides you to greatness by responding precisely to your state of consciousness. Change your conception of self, and you change your world. Go now in the knowledge of your divine creative power. Go with the certainty that the universe guides you unfailing toward the expression of your greatness. Go in the awareness that the God of which I speak is your own wonderful human imagination, and through its conscious use, all things are possible to you. For the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the universe guides you to manifest that kingdom in all its glory, here and now, in your earthly experience. This is the promise. This is the law. This is the truth that sets you free. Most people retire to their beds carrying the burdens of the day, rehearsing tomorrow's worries, or simply collapsing into unconsciousness without recognizing the magnificent opportunity that lies before them. They waste the most fertile time for planting seeds in the garden of consciousness. But you, having heard these words tonight, will never again approach sleep as merely a time of rest. You will approach it as the sacred ritual it truly is, the nightly appointment with your own divine nature. Sleep is not the opposite of consciousness. It is consciousness entering its most receptive state. When you lie down tonight and close your eyes, you are not shutting out the world. You are opening the door to a realm where all things are possible, where the laws of physics bow to the laws of consciousness, where time and space become servants to imagination rather than masters over it. Now, before I continue, let me be absolutely clear about what I mean when I speak of asking the universe. I am not suggesting that you petition some external deity or cosmic force that exists separate from yourself. The universe I speak of is not some distant, impersonal mechanism that may or may not grant your request based on your worthiness or the proper recitation of formulas. No, my friends, the universe is consciousness itself, and you are not separate from it. You are it, individualized and expressing itself as the unique being you know as yourself. When you ask the universe, you are communing with your own infinite self, that greater dimension of your being that transcends the limitations of your physical senses and rational mind. You are speaking to the power that beats your heart, that grows your hair, that heals your wounds while you sleep unconscious of the process. This same power that operates your body without your conscious direction is the power that creates your world. And sleep is when it is most accessible to your conscious direction. The secret lies in understanding that consciousness is the only reality, and everything you perceive as the physical world is consciousness pushed out, objectified, made visible and tangible. Your body, your circumstances, your relationships, your bank account, all of these are crystallized consciousness, hardened imagination made manifest. And if consciousness created them, consciousness can change them. If imagination made them visible, imagination can make them invisible and resolve with something more desirable. But here's what most people fail to understand. Consciousness operates according to law, not chance. It responds to your assumptions, not your wishes. It manifests what you believe to be true about yourself and your world, not what you hope might happen. And the most powerful time to impress consciousness with new assumptions is during that drowsy state just before sleep, when the critical faculty of your conscious mind relaxes its vigilant guard and allows new impressions to sink deep into the subconscious realm where all manifestation begins. Tonight, when you prepare for sleep, you must approach this preparation with the reverence of a priest preparing for sacred ceremony. Your bedroom becomes a temple, your bed an altar, and your imagination the holy of holies where you meet with the divine. Everything you do in those precious minutes before unconsciousness claims you must be done with intention, with purpose, with the full knowledge that you are about to engage in the most important work of your day. Begin by stilling your body. Lie comfortably, but not so comfortably that you fall asleep immediately. You need to maintain just enough consciousness to direct your imagination, but relaxed enough that your critical mind cannot interfere with the process. Feel your body settling into the mattress. Feel the weight of your limbs, the slowing of your breath, the gradual release of muscular tension. This physical stillness is the foundation upon which you will build your imaginative structure. Now comes the crucial part, the framing of your request to the universe. But remember, you are not begging, pleading, or hoping. You are not asking for something you lack, because in consciousness, nothing is lacking. You are simply choosing which of the infinite possibilities available to consciousness you wish to experience in your physical world. You are selecting from the vast wardrobe of existence the garment you wish to wear, the role you wish to play, the life you wish to live. Your request must be specific, but more importantly, it must be felt. The universe responds not to the words you think, but to the feeling you generate, the state of consciousness you embody. If you ask for wealth while feeling poor, consciousness receives a message of poverty, not prosperity. If you ask for love while feeling unworthy of love, consciousness manifests more experiences of being unloved. The feeling is the secret, my friends. The feeling is the prayer that consciousness answers. So tonight, when you make your request, do not simply think about what you want. Feel yourself already having it. If you desire financial abundance, do not imagine yourself asking for money. Instead, feel the security, the thrill, the joy that financial abundance would bring you. Feel yourself living from that state of consciousness where money is never a concern, where abundance is your natural condition, where prosperity flows to you as naturally as breath flows through your lungs. If you seek perfect health, do not picture yourself sick and asking to be healed. Instead, feel the vitality coursing through your body. Feel the strength in your limbs. Feel the clear, bright energy of perfect wellness. Assume the feeling of robust health so completely that illness becomes inconceivable to you. Your body must manifest what consciousness assumes to be true about it. If you long for your ideal relationship, do not imagine yourself lonely and searching. Feel yourself already loved, already cherished, already in the perfect relationship that brings you joy and fulfillment. Feel the warmth of that love, the security of that bond, the happiness of that companionship. Let this feeling saturate your being until you are that love, until you radiate the very quality that you seek to attract. The key to effective manifestation before sleep is to construct what I call an imaginal scene that would naturally occur if your desire were already fulfilled. This scene should be short, simple, and repeatable. It should involve you experiencing the fulfillment of your desire in a natural, believable way. Most importantly, It should generate the feeling of your wish fulfilled. For instance, if you desire a new home, do not imagine yourself house hunting or saving money for a down payment. Instead, imagine yourself already living in that perfect home. Perhaps you see yourself turning the key in the lock of your own front door, feeling the satisfaction of ownership. Or maybe you imagine a friend congratulating you on your beautiful new home, and you feel the joy and pride of achievement. The scene should be brief enough to loop repeatedly in your mind as you drift towards sleep, but vivid enough to generate a strong emotional response. Once you have constructed your scene, you must enter into it with all the vividness of your imagination. See what you would see, hear what you would hear, feel what you would feel if this scene were actually happening in your physical world right now. The more sensory details you can include, the more real the scene becomes to your consciousness, and the more powerfully it impresses itself upon your subconscious mind. But here is where most people fail. They perform their imaginal scene a few times, then let their minds wander to other things, often to the very problems and limitations they are trying to transcend. They pollute their consciousness with doubt, worry, or contradictory thoughts. They sabotage their own manifestation by mixing faith with fear, with doubt, creation with destruction. You must learn to maintain your imaginal scene with the persistence of a lover, returning to it again and again as your consciousness drifts towards sleep. Each time your mind wanders, and it will wander, gently bring it back to your scene. Do not struggle with wayward thoughts. Simply redirect your attention to your imaginal act with the patience of a gardener who knows that persistent watering will eventually bring forth the desired harvest. As you repeat your scene, something wonderful begins to happen. The boundary between imagination and reality starts to dissolve. Your scene becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. You begin to feel not that you are imagining something, but that you are remembering something, that what you are experiencing in imagination has already happened. This is the feeling you must cultivate, the sensation that your desire is not future but present, not possible but actual, not hoped for but possessed. The subconscious mind, which is the creative power within you, accepts as true whatever consciousness assumes to be true. It cannot distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you physically experience. To your subconscious, a vivid imaginal experience is as real as any external event. And once the subconscious accepts an assumption as fact, it begins the process of externalizing that assumption in your physical world. This is why the period just before sleep is so crucial. As consciousness descends toward the unconscious realm, the critical faculty that normally rejects new ideas as fantasy relaxes its guard. Your imagination has direct access to the subconscious, which is the seat of all creation. What you impress upon consciousness in this receptive state has tremendous power to become your experienced reality. But you must understand that manifestation is not magic in the sense of violating natural law. It is the operation of a higher law, the law of consciousness, which supersedes but does not violate the laws of the physical plane. Your imaginal act sets in motion a chain of events, attracts certain people and circumstances, and opens up opportunities that lead naturally to the fulfillment of your desire. You may not see how your desire can possibly be fulfilled from your current circumstances, but consciousness knows ways that your reasoning mind cannot conceive. Do not concern yourself with the how of manifestation. Your job is not to figure out the process, but to provide the blueprint through your imaginal act and the power through your feeling. Consciousness will handle the details of manifestation in ways that will often surprise and delight you. Your desire may be fulfilled through means and by routes that you never considered, by people you have not yet met, through opportunities that do not yet exist in your current experience. This is why you must not limit your request to the universe by specifying exactly how your desire should be fulfilled. Instead, focus on the end result, the final outcome, the state you wish to experience. Feel yourself already living in that state, and trust consciousness to bring it about in the perfect way and at the perfect time. Your job is to provide the destination. Consciousness will provide the vehicle and the route. Now I want you to understand something very important about timing. When you ask the universe before sleep to manifest your desires, You are not placing an order with a cosmic delivery service that will arrive at your doorstep within a predetermined time frame. Manifestation operates according to a different rhythm than your physical world, according to seasons of consciousness rather than calendar dates. Sometimes your desire manifests quickly within days or weeks, especially if it aligns closely with your current state of consciousness and does not require dramatic changes in your self-concept or circumstances. Other times, particularly with desires that represent significant departures from your current life, the manifestation may unfold gradually over months or even years as consciousness slowly and systematically rearranges your world to accommodate your new assumption. Do not be discouraged by delay, and do not interpret delay as denial. Consciousness is always working, always moving in the direction of your dominant assumptions, always seeking to externalize what you have made real in imagination. Sometimes what appears to be delay is actually consciousness clearing away obstacles, ending relationships or situations that are incompatible with your desired state, preparing the ground for your new harvest. During this period of manifestation, your job is to persist in your nightly practice, to continue impressing your subconscious with your desired state, and most importantly, to begin living from your desired state during your waking hours. You cannot spend 8 hours a day feeling poor and expect 1 hour of feeling wealthy before sleep to override that persistent negative impression. Your entire life must gradually align with your imaginal act. This is where most people fail in manifestation. They perform their technique perfectly, but continue to live from their old state of consciousness during their waking hours. They imagine abundance before sleep, but worry about bills during the day. They feel loved in their imaginal scene, but act insecure in their relationships. They visualize perfect health at night, but talk about their symptoms to anyone who will listen. You must understand that your imaginal act before sleep is not a separate activity disconnected from the rest of a race. It is the blueprint for a new state of consciousness that you must gradually embody more completely every day. Your nightly practice is the seed, but your daily life is the soil in which that seed must grow. Begin to act from your desired state during your waking hours. If you are manifesting abundance, make decisions from abundance rather than lack. If you are manifesting love, treat yourself and others with the love you seek to experience. If you are manifesting health, move and speak and think from the consciousness of perfect health. Your outer world will change as your inner world changes. As your state of consciousness shifts from lack to fulfillment, from separation to unity, from limitation to freedom. Remember that everything in your current experience was once only an imagination, only a possibility in consciousness before it became a fact in your world. Your current home, your current relationships, your current circumstances, all of these existed first in someone's imagination before they crystallized into physical form. If imagination brought your current world into being, imagination can bring a new world into being. The power that created everything you now experience as your life is the same power that will create your new life. That power is your own wonderful human imagination, operating according to the assumptions you hold to be true about yourself and your world. Change your assumptions, and you change your world. Change what you imagine to be true, and you change what you experience as true. Tonight, when you prepare for sleep, you are preparing to exercise the greatest power in the universe, the power of consciousness to create reality through imagination. You are about to engage in the same creative process that brought worlds into being, that formed galaxies and stars, that breathed life into matter and consciousness into form. You are about to become a conscious participant in the creative process rather than an unconscious victim of it. But with this power comes responsibility. You cannot create for others what they have not accepted for themselves. You cannot manifest in someone else's life what they do not believe possible for themselves. You can only create your own experience, change your own world, manifest your own desires. But as you change yourself, as you embody higher states of consciousness, you become a blessing to everyone in your world. A light that helps others see new possibilities for themselves. Use this power wisely, lovingly, constructively. Do not seek to manifest at the expense of others, but rather in harmony with the highest good of all concerned. Remember that consciousness is one, that we are all expressions of the same infinite awareness, that what benefits one ultimately benefits all, manifests from love rather than fear, from abundance rather than lack, from unity rather than separation. As you develop this practice of conscious creation before sleep, you will begin to notice change not just in your external circumstances, but in yourself. You will become more confident, more peaceful, more joyful, because you will know that you are not at the mercy of external conditions, but are the creator of your own experience. You will develop what I call the feeling of the wish fulfilled as your natural state, regardless of what your senses may report about your current circumstances. This transformation of consciousness is the real miracle, more valuable than any specific manifestation. When you truly understand that you are the operant power in your world, that consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is consciousness pushed out, you become free in a way that most people never experience. You become the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, the conscious creator of your own experience. Your nightly practice will evolve as you grow in understanding and ability. What begins as a simple imaginal scene repeated before sleep will develop into a sophisticated understanding of consciousness operates, how states of being create experiences, how assumptions harden into facts. You will learn to detect the subtle changes in your own state of consciousness and to make fine adjustments that create profound changes in your world. You will also learn to recognize the signs that your manifestation is taking form in the unseen realm before it appears in the seen world. You will notice changes in yourself, in your feelings, in your reactions to circumstances. You will find opportunities appearing, people entering your life circumstances shifting in ways that support your desired outcome. These are not coincidences, but evidence that consciousness is rearranging your world to match your new assumption. Most importantly, you will develop unwavering faith in the law of consciousness, not because someone taught it to you or because you read it in a book, but because you will have proven it again and again in your own experience. You will know beyond doubt that whatever you can imagine and feel to be true about yourself will manifest in your world, not because you hope it will, but because you have seen it happen repeatedly. This faith is not blind belief, but scientific certainty based on repeated experimentation and consistent results. Just as you have faith that the sun will rise tomorrow because you have observed this phenomenon countless times, you will have faith in the law of manifestation because you will have observed its operation in your own life countless times. But perhaps most beautiful of all, you will come to understand that the desires you seek to manifest are not foreign to your nature, but are expressions of your true self seeking to emerge into fuller expression. The abundance you seek to manifest is the expression of your divine nature, as an infinite being temporarily playing in a finite form. The love you seek to manifest is the love that you are, seeking to know itself more completely through relationship. The health you seek to manifest is the perfection that is your true nature, temporarily obscured by false beliefs, but never actually absent. In this understanding, manifestation becomes not about getting something you lack, but about revealing what you already are. Not about adding to yourself, but about removing the barriers to the expression of your true nature. You begin to see that the universe you have been asking for your desires is not separate from you, but is you, the larger, truer, more complete you that exists beyond the limitations of your current self-concept. This is the ultimate secret of manifestation, that what you seek is seeking you, that what you desire to experience is consciousness itself, seeking to know itself more fully through your individual experience. Your desires are not selfish ones, but cosmic impulses, not personal cravings, but the evolutionary urge of consciousness itself to expand, to grow, to become more of what it truly is. When you understand this, your nightly practice of asking the universe for your desires becomes a form of worship, a celebration of the infinite creative power that you are, a joyful participation in the eternal dance of consciousness, creating reality through imagination. You realize that you are not manipulating cosmic forces to satisfy your ego, but aligning with the deepest urges of life itself to grow, to expand, to become. And so tonight, as you prepare for sleep, approach your practice with this understanding. Know that you are about to engage in the most sacred act possible, the conscious creation of reality through imagination. Know that the power you wield is the same power that creates and sustains the universe, that beats your heart, that grows flowers from seeds, that turns winter into spring. Feel the magnitude of this power, but also feel its gentleness, its love, its desire for your highest good. Know that consciousness wants to fulfill your desires not because you deserve them or have earned them, but because the fulfillment desires is a fulfillment of its own nature as infinite possibility seeking finite expression. Rest in this knowing as you begin your imaginal scene. Let this understanding infuse your practice with reverence, with gratitude, with joy. You are not begging the universe for favors, but are recognizing your true identity as the universe individualized. Not asking for something outside yourself, but claiming what is already yours in consciousness. And tomorrow, when you wake, we'll wake not to the same old world of limitation and lack, but to a world pregnant with possibility, a world that is even now reshaping itself to accommodate your new assumption, a world that must reflect back to you what you have made real in imagination. This is your destiny, my friends, not to be victims of circumstance, but masters of fate. Not to be subjects of an external kingdom, but rulers of the kingdom of consciousness that you are. This is the truth that will set you free, the understanding that will transform your life, the power that will make you the deliberate creator of your own wonderful human experience. Sleep well tonight, knowing that as you sleep, the universe within you works to bring your imaginal acts into physical manifestation. Rest in the confidence that consciousness never fails, that what you make real in imagination must become real in experience, that your faithfully imagined desires are even now taking form in the invisible realm before stepping forth into visibility. And remember always that you are not separate from the power that creates worlds. You are that power, individualized and localized as the wonderful being you know as yourself. In recognizing this truth and living from this understanding, you become what you are always meant to be, a conscious collaborator with consciousness itself in the eternal project of creating reality in imagination. The universe has been waiting for you to remember who you are, to claim your power, to take your rightful place as the conscious creator of your own experience. Tonight, as you ask the universe for your desires, you are really remembering your true identity, acknowledging your divine nature and stepping into the magnificence that is your birthright as consciousness itself expressing through human form.